Hello, welcome back to the fish locker out on the boat. Now, today didn't start off the best way possible. We're out hopefully doing a little bit of sharking, and it's been very difficult to find fresh bait this morning. I usually like to feather up some fresh mackerel, some fresh whiting on the way out. It's taken me over an hour to get a couple of small mackerel and one whiting. So I brought us out to where we're going to go, to where we're going to fish, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to put one shark rod out because I've got a couple of baits, and in the meantime I'll be able to catch some other bait. I'm going to go through a few things in a moment. The people who've been shark fishing with me before and the people who've seen my other shark videos, this might seem like I'm repeating myself, but this is for the newbie. The basics of shark fishing is you run adrift over an area of ground which you think will hold sharks, and you work with a chum slick. Now, what I have some old laundry sacks, and I have some chum blocks that I have made up at home. There is a video on the Fish Locker Workshop channel showing you how I make my chum, but basically it is chopped up fish, bran and fish oil. And all I do is I'll put this block into this bag and then sit it in a bucket over the side on one of the cleats, and the scent drifts out of it, creates like a trail. Any sharks in the area, when they swim into that trail, they'll think, that smells nice, and then follow the trail to the boat. Away from the boat I'll be running out a couple of baits. I will show you those as I get to it, but in the meantime let me get tidied up, let me get chum bag over the side, then we'll get sorted. Right, got my chum bag out, slick's working away, rigged up my first setup. I'll quickly show you which setup I'll be using. This is one of my favourite setups for targeting blue sharks. It's a carbo spinning rod, a 150 gram carbo spin, and it's a carbo 80 fixed spool. Now I think I have 50 or 60 pound braid on there, and then I have a rubbing leader with a sliding float. And then the business end, I have around about 8 to 10 feet of bite trace with a sliding lead to a strong coast lock swivel, and then I have a bite trace on the end of about 4.5 to 5 feet. So 10 feet of trace body, then probably 4 feet of bite trace. And this is 49 strand wire ending in a 12/0 Cox and Roll Mutsu circle, and you can see that I've crushed the barb on it. All of my shark fishing is catch and release, so crushing a barb, circle hooks are fantastic for hooking up in the corner of the mouth. You will very rarely deep hook a fish with a circle hook, and crushing the barb makes it easier to unhook them. Now I do like muppets to add a bit of an attraction. I use muppets a lot in my fishing. And all I've done is taken one of the whiting that I caught earlier, flapped it off, being that I've taken the fillets, taken the backbone out, left the fillets in the head, and then all I do is hook it on. You need to hook it through a hard part of the head, so that, there you go, just hooked on like that. The reason you need to get it through a hard part of the head is so that a little shark can't come up and just take the little bits off and pull it off the hook. And then feed it out like this. Well, I've got pretty decent clarity today. We had a lot of bad weather and it really messed the clarity up. The clarity today is probably a good 30 feet. Hopefully that's a good sign. I'm just going to fish just the one rod for now while I try and feather up some more bait. If I can get myself half a dozen of 10 little whiting like that, that'll be perfect. I've caught sharks on caught blue sharks on loads of different baits. Whiting, pouting, pocod, mackerel, scad, a lot. Octopus, cuttlefish. People generally do associate blue sharks with mackerel. They do like mackerel, but they are a bit of a scavenger. They will take almost anything. The reason that I've backed the drag off to feed the line out is if you take the bail arm off, the line just peels out too fast. I'm going to set this at a distance away from the back of the boat and then stand it up in the rod holder with the drag quite slack. And what I'll be doing is not only will I be watching the float to see if the float bobs under, but you can hear it, because if a fish picks it up you'll hear it start pulling drag away. If we do get a good fish, I will be able to show you how you set the hook. Fishing with circle hooks, you don't fish them the same as a J hook. You don't set the hook hard, you just lift into them. You either let the fish tighten the line and set the hook itself, or you just lift into them, because all you want to do is you want to turn the hook into the fish's mouth. Sharking on a small boat, especially when you're by yourself like I am, the key thing is tidiness and being prepared, because when you're on your own and you've got a big tangle of stuff going on or stuff all around your feet, you easily get into trouble. So I'll clear everything away from the deck now, and I just have what I need. So I have my gloves to hand, I have 2 T-bars, I have my baits, and nothing else on the deck. Everything else is out there. Right, see if we can't get some more little whiting up. The ideal situation when you're shark fishing like this, and when you're trying to get a chum slick out, is that you have a good drift. Being that there is, whatever scenario, wind and tide, wind against tide, small tide, lots of wind, big tide, not a lot of wind. Whatever it is, you just need to be able to cover some ground. So generally the bigger tides are better. And if you can, you want to create a long straight slicking. So if you if you've got wind against tide and it changes and you end up doing like a circle, or if there's no drift at all and you just end up staying in one place, the scent just spreads out in like a round area. Whereas if it's a long straight one, not only do you cover more area, but it's a straight road for the fish to find you. Now we have got a little bit of motion, I don't know if you can see it. So I am going to make today's session a shorter session. We'll hopefully drift for a couple of hours. I might be able to pick a couple of fish out. You've got to be an optimist, haven't you? Just had a bite there. Sorry, I was halfway through eating my sandwich. Rod's just darted over and Ryan started screaming off. It's always when you're least prepared, isn't it? Just put this rod down. Just had a bite of my sandwich and Rod screamed off. Now it's dropped the bait, but they do sometimes come back. That's indicative of a small fish. That float's not sitting right. It's because the shark's still on it. Yes. It had come up and had a bite of it and dropped it and then come back round for it. It's just sat there now, it doesn't feel like a big shark. It's something we joke about quite a bit. If the fish aren't biting, get your sandwiches out. I don't know if you managed to see there how I knew that the fish was still there, because the float, instead of being straight down in the water, laid flat. It's like we're coarse fishing, a drop back bite. It's where the fish picks up the bait and the weight and comes up in the water. So all I did was I tightened down to the fish. I brought the line in and tightened down to where the fish was, so the line between the rod tip and the fish was tight, and then just lifted the rod. Didn't strike, just lifted. It is important to play fish out, especially the smaller ones. The bigger ones, you don't have so much trouble because they'll run and they'll fight. The smaller blues, you can bring them to the boat before they're tired, and they just end up snapping and splashing and riding around. Yeah, this is quite a small blue. What I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to put the rod down in the rod rest. When you do that, you need to back the drag off, because if for whatever reason you have to let go of this shark or let go of the line, that line will tighten up to your rod and it can snap the top of your rod. This fish might be 20 pounds. Started wrapping himself up. There you go. Perfect way to start. A nice little one to practice with. Calm as you like. There you are, circle hooks. And I even managed to get my bait back. Still had the bait inside of his mouth. That fish there, there's a shark down under the boat. Just seen it turn on this bait. Won't be surprised if we get another hook up again in a couple of seconds. Aye, that was maybe what, 15 to 20 pounds. When they're that small, when they're up to probably 60 pounds, you can lift them in. But sharks don't have any bones, it's all cartilage. So they don't have a rib cage to support their vital organs. And they're used to the weight of the water supporting their body. So if you can't lift it, just lift it clean out of the water with two hands like I did with that little one there, and you can't slide them in through a door, then you're likely to do the shark some real damage. So you're better off just T-barring them off on the side of the boat. If we get any really big ones today, you'll just see me T-bar them off on the side. I would only ever really bring one aboard unless if I felt confident that I could lift it out of the water under control. And possibly if it was wrapped up. If it was wrapped up or if it was deep hooked or something like that and I thought I could get the hook out, then I would bring it aboard. Otherwise you'll just see me T-bar him off on the side. Right, let's get myself sorted. See if we can't get another one or two of them little whiting. We have a shark on the surface at the back of the slick. Just saw it cut in there. First thing I noticed was the seagulls took off real quick. Doesn't look a bad size. In fact, actually, I'm going to get these feathers out of the way. The only problem in fishing in 300 feet of water, it takes you ages to wind back in. But yeah, that shark didn't look a bad size. Sometimes a pair of polarised lenses, a pair of sunglasses with polarised lenses, can help with this because you can see through the glare on the top of the water. There it is. Tighten down, tighten the drag, and lift. See there, I didn't set the hook, just lifted into it. You might have also noticed I've got multicoloured line on this reel. The reason for that is so that you know roughly how much line a fish is taking. Every 10 yards is a different colour. If it was all green, could be 10 yards, could be 40 yards, could be 100 yards going past you. You'd never know. Whereas now, because if it goes like green, yellow, red, blue, 4 lots of colour go past, you know it's taking 40 yards. I also have something here. Now these are a godsend. It's a foam cushion that sits on the bottom of the rod. If you end up having a heavy day where you've got quite a lot of sharks, you really can end up bruised in places where you don't want bruises. So these cushions are fantastic. I'm not affiliated with them or sponsored or anything. I bought this one about 2 or 3 years ago and it saved me some horrible bruises. That's another smaller one. Wrapped itself up a bit. This here is why you use the circle hooks. See that hook hold there? Perfectly in the corner of the mouth. There, look. Because it's barbless. Because the barb's been crushed, popped straight out. Couldn't get it with my fingers because it kept biting down on the hook. One last little look at him. And away he goes. That wasn't the shark that I saw. The shark that I saw was bigger than that. You can tell by the distance between the dorsal fin and the tail. Yeah, again, 20 odd pound. They're getting bigger though. When you're out distance like this, that's what you've got to be careful of. See that tanker in the background? Because you don't know who's paying attention. Don't assume anything. Don't assume that they've seen you, you need to be on the ball. This whiting has had 2 sharks on it already. Let's see if we can't get a third with it. Yeah, I wouldn't like to estimate, but that other shark was bigger. Tell by the size. You can't always tell by the dorsal, the size of the dorsal, because it can be deceiving. But you can tell with the distance between the dorsal and the tail. Now you might have heard me mention before, you won't always see the sharks, they don't always come in on the surface. You can fish an entire day and never see one and still catch a lot of them because they're down deep. And the scent sinks as it goes along. So where we started, the scent might be down to 300 feet. These sharks might come in from 200 foot and might come right up underneath your bait. Or they might steam right in along the surface. One of the best indicators that there is a shark there in the area, in the slick, around where your baits are, is the birds, the seagulls, the fulmars. They won't sit down on the water when there's a shark there. You might not be able to see them, you might not be able to tell they're there, but they know that they're there. You get a fulmar or something, or a fulmar or a seagull or a petrel playing in the slick, picking the little bits of your chum out. As soon as they take off in a hurry, or if they're constantly got their long neck out and looking around, they know that there's a shark there. Need some more bait. If I can get 4 or 5 more whiting, I'll be happy. That'll do me for the session. Got somewhat on the feathers, it's fighting. Oh, that's why. That's a string and a half on the feathers, isn't it? Got two big whiting and a lovely red gurnet. Thought that was struggling a bit. First things first, we'll have a look at this lovely little guy. I do really like gurnets. It's my wife's favourite fish as well. Keep tight hold of him. Look at that. The reason I'm holding him tightly like this is because all of these is a really sharp spike. It's got a big spike at the back of there, so on his fins. They are lovely gurnets. There are a few different types in my area. Greys, reds, tubs and even streaked gurnets. And the croak, I don't know if you can hear him, but he's going. Now these, just have one little look, a bright blue eye. When you get them above £2 they are fantastic eating. Yeah, it's too small though. A cracking pair of eating size whiting. They have got wicked teeth. There you go. Not bad size whiting. This here that you can see sticking out of its mouth. Fish, when you bring them up from deep down, they often suffer from something called Barrow Trauma, which is the change in the pressure. They can't equalise the pressure inside their body with the change of pressure of the water. And what happens is the air inside of their swim bladder expands. That there that you could see is the air that's inside of its body has expanded and pushed its stomach out of its throat. Now unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. Some fish just suffer more than others. It's already dead. Some people say that you can poke a hole in the swim bladder and they'll go back down again. But when you're fishing in 300 feet of water like that, it doesn't work. The fish might go down out of sight, but it's already gone. The damage is more than just the damage is to its internal organs, not just to what you can see. Whoa. Be careful with whiting, because you can see, and if you can see all them teeth, they're like pins. we have just had a greater skewer in the slick. So for all of you that are into ornithology like I am, a greater skewer is like like a really stocky brown seagull, and it just bullies everything. There's two types of skewer, a greater skewer and an Arctic skewer. And the greater skewers are just like solid and brown and got like a white flash on their wingtips. And if they see any seagulls anywhere, they just harass them. If a seagull picks up a dead fish, the skewer will come down and bully it until it makes it spew it up, and then it'll eat it. They are just a bully. Even bully them blackbacks, and not much picks on them. Anyway, let's get back to what I was doing. See if we can't get a couple more of them whiting. There's a shark. Tighten the drag down. Lift into the fish. The only problem I'm facing now is I've got my feathers on the bottom still. Like I said, the float just bobbed once. Feels like another small one. You can feel them kind of like rasping and writhing. Yeah, I feel like this one's wrapped itself up and I'm just dragging it in. It's probably going to be really small. Oh my word. It's practically a blue dogfish. Do you remember what I said about the small ones do all their fighting at the side of the boat? Yeah, that little one there was about 15 to 20 pound. Seems to be the general stamp today. You never can tell though, there might be a big one in there amongst them. This is a whiting. I'm going to stop fishing on the bottom and I'm going to put 2 shark rods on. I don't know if you saw that bird fly past there, but that was a Manx shearwater. Not just 1, but 3. Well, that's bait taken care of. Let's get these sorted out, get them rods out. We're running a lovely straight drift here at about 1.5 knots. But like I say, it's only going to be a short session today, and the general stamp of fish, dare I say it, has been on the small side. So what I'm going to do is, instead of rigging up my heavier 30-50 rod, I'm going to be using this. Now this this is a 100 gram surface popping rod. It's an Amora popping rod. And the bloke in our local tackle shop, when I went in there the other day, says, "Oh, I've just had these in, do you want to try one out?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll put it through its paces. I'll try my best not to break it." I took it out on a sharking charter the other day, one of our guided sharking charters, and we had a fantastic time, and I landed on this exact setup. This is a Namura IC, as in like IC, 100 gram, and this is a Daiwa Ballistic 6000. So it's only light, it's got 30 pound braid on, and I'm just going to be fishing the exact same way that we fish the other one. It's got a sliding float on it. Apart from this wire trace, it doesn't have a lead on it, so it's going to be sitting very high up in the water. Exactly the same as before, apart from I put one of the smaller mackerel on it. Because if the fish are going to be small, I might as well have some fun with them. I am saying that, but I did land a £114 shark the other day on this. We had some fantastic fun. We have picked up a lot of little fish in the slick. You do find this often happens. Other fish like mackerel and pilchards and garfish, as they find your slick and find the little particles of bran and of fish and of scent, they do come along, and we have got a shoal of little fish just underneath the boat here. It's just too deep to be able to show you with the camera, but every now and again I get like a glint as one turns on each side. We did have a couple of birds in the slick a minute ago, and they have left. So as I've said, that is obviously a good indication that there was a shark there. Sometimes you can get a shark in the slick and it'll just amble around. They're not bothered, they're not interested, they're just there. Can't get them to take a bait for love nor money. That isn't always a bad thing, because if another shark turns up, with them being two now, they'll compete with each other. So just having that shark in the slick could mean that if another shark turns up, that either one of those will turn onto a bait. Like any type of fishing, if you get the fish competing for the food, because they think, oh no, I better get it quick, because otherwise he'll get it, you just steam straight in there and get hold of it. Another couple of hours of the tide left. There I get my sandwiches out. There's a bite. Not quite fancy a double hook up with two fixed pole rods on my own. Another tiny one, I think. Yeah. Again, another £15 fish. Maybe a little bit more. Get the hook. Fish is on weight. Pop it out. See how that worked. Trying to give you a different angle of popping the hook out. We've got a shark just down here, and he keeps munching up all the little free bits I'm throwing. Just will not take a hook bait. What's up on surface again now? Yeah, hoovering up them little freebies. Oh, frustrating. Well, I finally got one to take the bait. Wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to tempt one onto a bait. trying all sorts, trying free feeding, try and bring the baits in, dropping them back, try a little bit more oil, little tiny strip baits, big baits. I think, to be honest, we had the dolphins in the slick 2 or 3 times, like right under the boat. I'm not sure if the dolphins were putting the sharks off. Right, we're coming to the end of the session. Tide's slackening off. We're just almost on slack water now, drifting at 0.3, 0.6, 0.2, about half a knot. Just because the tide's slowed right down, so it's just the wind carrying us on. And my chum bag, I don't know if you can see it. My chum bag is almost completely washed out. It was only going to be a short session today. We've had a few fish. I don't know how many we've had. I think we've had 6, but none of them have been big. At some points in time we did have 3 or 4 different sharks in the slick and around the boat, but just would not feed. Well, actually no, that's wrong, because they were eating the little scraps. They were eating the little freebies that I was throwing them, but they just weren't taking the hooks. I tried all sorts. I tried changing the baits, I tried big baits, small baits, strip baits. I tried everything I could. Did eventually get one of them to take the hook. Again, it was another fish of about, I don't know, 25. We've had nothing over 30 pounds today. You just never know, do you? You never know what's going to take your hook. Some days they can all be small, like today, and other days they'll all be big. What we're going to do is I am going to carry on this drift. We have drifted for a total of 4.1 miles. It's not bad for the time that we've been out. Struggled to find bait at the start, but just showed you that whiting catches as well as mackerel. Did get a couple of really big whiting, and we have had a lot of dolphins around the boat today. Like in and around the slick and underneath the boat. I'm not sure whether or not that's put the sharks off a little bit. It might have done. Next time I speak to a dolphin I'll have to ask him. I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope it's given you a few helpful hints and tips. Sorry that the sun's right behind me and it's glaring right at the camera, but it's just the way it goes. We will carry on fishing for a little bit longer. Hopefully I might be able to winkle another one out. If not, it's been a good day anyway. All the chum was homemade, all the shark traces were homemade, everything like that. You can find the videos on the Fish Locker workshop. I will tag a couple of videos in here as well at relevant points in the video. I'm going to tidy up. I'm going to have a sausage roll, and then I'm going to pack up and I'm going to go and check my crab pots. So if we have anything else, I've tried to do a little bit of underwater footage. It's difficult because the boat's rocking around all over the place and the sharks quite often were a bit of a distance off the boat. Hopefully there will be a little bit of that in there to show you. If we catch anything else I'll show you. If I don't, then I won't. Just in case this is goodbye, all the best, and I will see you later. Well, managed to winkle one more out. As it's the last fish, we'll turn the boat around so you're not looking into the sun. This one was actually a special bait. See if anyone can figure out what the bait was. You see the difference now between how this one is alongside and how the smaller ones work, because I've managed to play this one out. Get them alongside when they're bigger, when you play them out, they're quite docile, tired like this. The little tiny ones are just a menace. Well, there you go. There's the business end. That is a better sized blue shark. Sun behind me again. No matter which way you position yourself, it will always work its way back round so the sun is right behind you. Ah well, you can't complain at that, can you? The last fish of the day was the best fish of the day. I'll happily take that anytime. Yeah, I estimate that fish to be around £40. I'm not cheating myself there. I could have measured it, there's no point. I hope you've enjoyed this. All the best. We'll see you later.